Hello, everyone. Doing a LinkedIn Live, obviously on a Monday. So I'm just going to do another Ask Me Anything session. These seem to be quite popular for people who've been doing the training course or various other people who, just continue or are keen in continuing to learn and whatnot. So, yeah. I'm back. I will give it a few minutes before I actually answer any questions. But hello, someone from Facebook. I don't know why. I need to look into this, but for some reason, it doesn't pick up the name from Facebook. But good to see you anyway. But yeah, going to be doing a live Ask Me Anything for anyone who wants to know anything that can be SEO related, social media, building your own brand, agency stuff, scaling, hiring VAs, all of that kind of stuff. More than happy to answer any of these kind of questions. So, just make sure you put your questions, whether it's on LinkedIn Live, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Just bash all your questions around here, and I will be more than happy to go through as many as I can over the next hour. D-Ruv's here. More Facebook people. Good to see you, D-Ruv. Puneet. Good to see you also. So yeah, guys, put your questions in the comments and I will go for it. I'm ready to answer questions now. I've got 13 guys from LinkedIn. So this is my first solo LinkedIn Live. And I'm curious to see how many people I get from LinkedIn alone. I've been doing Ask Me Anythings for a while now, and just curious to know if LinkedIn's a good platform for that type of thing as well. So put your questions in, guys. There's no time like the present to get any of your questions answered. Hello. Come on, guys, give me a question. Here's the first one, Javid Hakimi. What is the black hat trick you did to give your client a boost in GMB and move above in the rankings? I'm not sure what client you're referring to as such, but it would have either been some click-through rate manipulation or building more citations than the other guy. If it was a black hat trick, it would have probably been some form of click-through rate manipulation, where you use a click-through rate bot to look at your GMB a hell of a lot longer than you look at your client, the one that's above you. Sorry. So what you would tend to do is make sure that someone quickly goes on to your competitor, jumps back off it, hangs around in your GMB for a while, clicks on some stuff, goes to check out your directions and whatnot, and that gives you that little boost to maybe beat the competition from a click-through rate manipulation point of view. That is probably what you're referring to. Things to look for while redirecting an expired domain to your website. So the process that I simply use for redirecting a domain name is, of course, when I'm finding the domain name via Spamzilla or GoDaddy auctions, I'm looking for metrics. And what you're looking for is to put that domain name up and see if it quickly ranks. Obviously, you're looking for a domain name that's got a good backlink profile, but what you're looking to do is see that that new 301 that you're potentially going to do, you want to make sure that actually ranks quickly. So I repurpose the domain name first. I'll let some of the juice come back to that domain name, some of the links start to kick in again. And then, yes, I will redirect it if that then happens to be the case. If it ranks fairly quickly, then it's good to do a 3-1 redirect. That's just my process. So there you go. What trick increased traffic website? There is no quick trick to increasing traffic to a website. You can use paid Facebook ads, which is relatively low cost, quote ads, social media, all of that kind of stuff to get quick traffic to your website. But there is no trick to get good quality, relevant traffic. Just put out good videos, use social media, use YouTube, use all of that kind of stuff to drive in traffic quickly. Sadly, there is no trick as such. Hi, Craig. Do you think it's better to write quality articles on your own website blog, or should you use websites like Medium to gain more traffic? Is that Alfredo Morelos? It is. I'm a Rangers fan as well. Good to see you. So you're better overall writing traffic on your own website, because if you're writing for Medium, you're giving them unique content. However, at the start of any campaign, to get some power, to get some traffic and all of that kind of stuff, sometimes you have to use what we call parasites, which would be Medium, YouTube to a certain degree, and various other things. So, you have to use these websites to gain more traffic. Longer term, though, the answer would be to write traffic on your own website. So hopefully that answers that particular question. How can we find client through LinkedIn to provide IT services like digital marketing? How can you find clients through LinkedIn? I mean, Puneet, you would have to potentially look for guys who are head of marketing and things like that. So you have to dig deep into their profiles and then market them properly. And you can use a tool to do that, like Linked Helper. So that's LINKED helper.com. And that can help you automate a lot of that process. But essentially what you're going to have to do is hit the right people, with the right job titles. That's the key secret in that whole process, is to make sure that you target the right people with the right job titles and get right in front of their eyes. That's one way of using LinkedIn, and it's a great tool for that. Tim Marston, hey man, I got hit with a 50% traffic drop in the latest update. Any suggestions for what I should do? What happens, Tim, anytime there's an update? There's always people panicking, and people then make wholesale changes to their website very, very quickly. What I would say is you're always going to get a lot of movement at the start of any update. And what I generally do is just let that settle down first and foremost, try and understand what the update's about. This one would appear to be around link building in some way. Some people have said it's link velocity. Other people are just talking about it's in, general links. That is, something I'm just, from what I'm reading, Christoph Semper from Link Research Tools seems to think it's something to do with link velocity. The reason that I've mentioned that publicly is he has access to a wide range of data because of his tool, and, sees a hell of a lot more than what we do with 10, 15, 20 websites or whatever you're managing. So but you obviously have to read around, look at the forums, look at people you trust, and try and establish what the hell is going on with this update, and then from there adapt. If it's link velocity, then it's going to be a case of get more links and make sure that they're consistent, whether that's 5 a month, 10 a month, whatever your budget allows. Not maybe 10 1 month and then stop it for 3 months, or maybe you're just buying the wrong type of links. But it's definitely link related as far as my research goes. But any more than that, I don't want to give too much away just yet, because I'm not entirely sure myself, obviously. But I think always just sit and chill. Don't go crazy making hundreds of changes to your website, which is what most people do. They go crazy, and rightly so. You've got to try different stuff, but I think you've always got to let it settle down, and hopefully it will start to be settling down already. So next question. Javid, where do you buy your proxies? So I use blazingproxies.com. They're always been good for me. There's a million proxy providers out there. I'm just always looking for premium proxies that are not getting burnt out by someone else. Just because I use tools and automation all day, every day, so it's important for me to have premium ones. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, but there's a lot of good proxy providers out there. Buyproxies.org is another one that I've used in the past, which were decent. And yes, there's a football on my left side, D-Ruv, signed football. My brother-in-law was a footballer and won a cup final, and or he still is a footballer, and all the team signed the ball and I got it. So yeah, just a little bit of memorabilia. I like football memorabilia, so if you look all around the room, I've got boxing memorabilia, football tops, all over the place. Barcelona, Real Madrid, all that stuff. So yeah, a lot of football memorabilia from my favourite sports people. Ritesh, how to decrease spam score of a domain name? You have to disavow, clean that domain name up. I wouldn't be buying a domain name that had a high spam score, but it also depends whose spam score you're talking about as well. Some tools suggest that things are potentially spam when I wouldn't say they necessarily are. Sometimes position of the link, whether it be in a sidebar and a footer, certain tools will suggest that that's spam, and I wouldn't agree. It's just obviously that's primarily where spam links go, but it depends what you're trying to do. But just disavow, get rid of the junk, and get your spam score down. Does EAT matter? Does EAT matter for certain industries? Of course, expertise, authority, and trust. So if you're in the medical niche, which is where EAT really comes out in, I'm pretty sure that Google will use EAT within their algorithm, because you can't just have people writing stuff that doctors are allowed to say online. There's got to be some kind of accountability, and you can't just have some random guy saying here's some treatment for some of this stuff or some of that stuff. Google not want to rank that stuff because of misinformation and whatnot. So it does matter in specific niches. There's much debate as to whether it, how much that goes across overall everywhere. Does it really help with generic niches and stuff like that? I'm not so sure. I would probably say it doesn't. But again, obviously, it's very hard for me to say whether it does or it doesn't, because no one actually knows the truth of that. But it would make common sense for that to be the case in specific niches where information online is vital and it has to be accurate. Whereas a builder or a roofer or whatever, I'm not sure it's as important for that to be part of the algorithm. So a bit of common sense has got to apply there. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with future-proofing your website and trying to become an authority in your niche. Get placements and stuff on high PR websites and shout your mouth off about yourself and how important you are. I don't think that will overall cause you any problems at all from an SEO point of view. So I think it's a good thing to do, even if it is future-proofing your website, or even, if it makes a small amount of difference in the niche that you're operating in. Nothing wrong with believing that it's true with that one. JM 1872. Hi, Craig. Here's a good one for you. Lead gen, untapped niche, circa 30k volume per month in UK and Ireland. Low competition, 2 domains, one in IE and one for .co.uk, or a .com with regional redirects. Oh, that's a tough one. I would normally go for 2. I'm crazy though, but I do believe that .co.uk domains rank well in the UK, and I'm sure .ie is the same over there. So I would just go for the 2 rather than a .com and regionalising it. I would always probably go for the 2 websites and just add I know it's more pain to the mix, managing 2 websites, but I just think overall, I would just rather want to be sure and clean up as quickly as I could, and I'm pretty confident I would be able to do that with the 2 websites rather than pissing about with the one.com and trying to show Google that we're targeting this and that with a .com. It's just easier to do it with the 2 websites, in my opinion. So hopefully that answers your question. So next question, and I'm just making sure there's 17 people watching on LinkedIn, but I am not getting any questions and answers from LinkedIn. I'm not getting any questions from LinkedIn. Oh no, I have. So I'm going to start going to some of the questions on LinkedIn quickly because they don't show up on the questions on here. So no heart, all hype. I will come back to you in a second. I just want to go through some of the LinkedIn questions. Jessica Thatcher. Hi Craig, if you're on a low budget one-man band online retailer and can only spend an hour a week on SEO excluding social media, what do you prioritize? So Jessica, it's really hard to say what I'd prioritize because that website that you're on may very well, be really weak in content, for example. And, that would be something you would have to prioritize. And, you've got to prioritize what's weakest on the website, but you may have inherited a website that's got tons of content, really bad at backlinks. So again, jump on the backlinks. I think you've got to prioritize content over backlinks though, because I think with a low budget one-man band, you're not likely to have tons of content, and content is really important in terms of ranking well. So I think, you can catch a lot of long tail keywords and stuff like that. So low budget, build loads of content, hopefully get in some long tail stuff, and then you're able to kind of build up and try and get that budget up a bit where you maybe get 5 hours, 10 hours, and try and build the budget up that way, and grow the business. So content for you, Jessica, I think would be the way forward in most cases. Manjari Singh, how has SEO changed in these times with algo changes? Algorithm changes always change. They always change to flush out garbage, whether that's garbage content, garbage links, whatever it's going to be. We want to make sure that, you just keep up to date and keep on the changes and embrace them. And that's it. And, hopefully it just continues to evolve and we continue to evolve with it. And it's just embracing them. SEO, the core concepts of SEO doesn't change. Links, content, good technical SEO, continue to make great content, utilize social media and everything else to drive traffic in there. So I think you just got to plod away with that and continue to evolve. Will Patterson, good to see you, Will. Long time no speak. For a local business, is it a good idea to add in the local areas to somewhere like the footer of a site? An example would be a plumber based in Edinburgh, then adding service areas like Bathgate, Livingston. Well, I wouldn't be adding in the footer. That's very spammy, something that people used to do 5-10 years ago. You can add them just to your blog and just, what you're saying is right. Of course, you want landing pages to target areas out with Edinburgh, such as Bathgate, Livingston, West Lothian, and all of that kind of stuff. However, I would just have a news blog and add them in there. There's no need to add them to a footer. I think it just looks horrible as well. So some things a client doesn't have to see, and just keep your navigation and everything clean and tidy. Which URL flow we must have in e-commerce, like category, subcategory, or direct subcategory? So in terms of navigation, URL structure on an e-commerce website, it really comes down to the size and the volume of products you've got. You want to always, have category, then subcategory, but it really depends how long that goes and how many categories and how many sub-products you've got on there. You're probably better Googling a good guide, whether it's, as I say, it really comes down to the kind of products that you've got, whether you're doing shoes, white shoes, black shoes, training shoes, sport, there could be so many different ways of doing it, depending on the products. So you're better probably Googling and seeing what the competition are doing in your industry, the top ranking competition. Manjari, how do we rank a website in international region? International is something you can target, no problem at all. You're probably likely to have to change certain language on your website and stuff like that to cater for certain countries, add in hreflang tags and various other bits and bobs to show the different variations of Google that you're targeting, these kind of countries. So that is essentially what you want to do. So it's a big thing, not quite as easy as just doing that. But you're going to have to ensure that you do a lot of work, change a lot of languages. Someone like Neil Patel, for example, that writes his website in, I think, 5 different languages. So that he caters for all the kind of top languages, so to speak. So yeah, I think that's how I would approach it. Savan Karud, and by the way, guys, on Facebook and stuff, I've not forgotten about you. I'm just trying to go through a bunch of these LinkedIn ones, and then I'm coming back to get all the other platforms. Is it recommended that if I have 5 expired domain names and I'm using them as a PBN, they have to be hosted at a different IP? Yes, Savan. Make sure that you host them at a different IP. Leave as very little footprints as you possibly can. You don't want to get caught by Google. You want to make sure that you are diversifying that IP, hosting companies, even the domain names, host them with different registrars. Make sure that you're not leaving that footprint. Chandan Chowdhury, how to increase DA for a new website when we don't get much do follow links. Citations, certainly improve the DA of a website. So get a whole bunch of citations to your website, whether that is geographic specific citations or niche specific citations, and a bunch of generic powerful citations. You want to mix that up. You can also use a service called citationsbuilder.com, and I'll put that reply just under your thing there, citationsbuilder.com. That will help you, but then you will have to go on and make sure that you continue to build better links and better content and everything else that will improve the DA of your website. Jessica, hopefully I did answer your question, and thank you. But you can join my group on Facebook. Just Google Craig Campbell SEO training if you ever do want to ask questions in there. This is my first time on LinkedIn Live, so just testing it out. Anton, good to see you. Didier Slama, hi Craig, what do you think of using backlinks to improve SEO? Backlinks is the #1 ranking signal, so how you do backlinks is entirely up to you. There's good ways, bad ways, sneaky ways, and all of that kind of stuff. And I've got a whole ton of different videos if you go to my YouTube channel on backlinks and how the different strategies work, how you can do it organically, how you can trip people up, playing the naive, build PBNs, use expired domain names, and a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm not suggesting that you have to use any specific one of those tactics, but you've got to do outreach, you've got to buy guest posts, you've got to mix the whole thing up. How do you good PR links cheap? All of that kind of stuff is on there, but backlinks is essential for operating in very competitive markets. You may get away with citations and some crappy content in very weak markets, but certainly at the top end of the scale, when it comes to anything competitive, you have to up your game with the backlink side of things. So guys, I'm going to jump back Keep asking your questions in LinkedIn. I'm just going to jump back to StreamYard, which is where all of the other stuff is going on, and I'll put the questions back up on the screen. So it comes to no heart, all hype. How do you recommend going about SEO when it comes to the adult novelty items niche? I love that, novelty items. Having a lot of trouble finding any great link building methods. So the problem you've got with adult novelty items or adult toys or whatever it is that you have to probably come a bit more creative. You probably have to use the bait and switch method. No one wants to link to an adult website in general. It's the same with any of those type of niches, you know, escorts and all that kind of thing. You've got to probably use a whole bunch of PBNs, a whole bunch of paid guest posts, 301 redirects, or use the bait and switch methods, which is pretending that they're linking to a website, and then over a course of time, then you can cloak the redirects on there and point them to your website. But again, it's probably more the black hat stuff that you're going to have to dig deep on. If you do go to YouTube and just put in black hat link building, there is a video on there of me talking about some different methods that may very well be useful to you for that particular niche. Anjali Raghavan, do you think a career option of being a digital marketeer has been reaching a saturation point with so many people getting into the field? Now, I get what you're saying there, Anjali. There's a lot of people who claim to be SEOs. What I would say to anyone getting into the field is there's not a whole lot of good SEOs out there. Definitely never be overawed. It's the same as, you know, plumbers or whatever. You know, there's a whole bunch of plumbers. Some of them are absolute garbage at what they do, and just not suited to the industry. It's the same with SEO, and I think being good, offering a quality approach, and you know, having the hunger and desire to succeed and continually learning will make anyone a good digital marketer. You know, anyone can do it. I can do it. I have no university qualifications. I have no crazy background how I get into this. You know, I stumbled across it the same as everyone else, but I have a hunger and a passion for it, and that's what's, you know, hopefully sets me a little bit higher than some of the other people out there that do it. So yeah, I think, you know, although it's saturated, does that mean you cannot become one of the top people in it? Of course you can. All comes down to you, your time, your desire. Anyone can be what they want to be if they put their mind to it. You know, if you want to be the best at SEO, go and do it. You know, everyone else is out there, and you know, all you have to do is beat them, and no one out there is. There's no huge amount of people doing any amazing, great stuff. There's only so many hours in a day, and you just have to become smarter, quicker, automate stuff, and yeah, you can do it. Said, is AMP important for SEO? Personally, I do not believe so. I'm sure people will argue, but AMP is good for news websites and stuff like that. I haven't implemented AMP in my own website because I don't see the need to. You know, you've got mobile indexing, and you know, as long as your website's suited for mobile devices, then I don't really see the need for AMP unless you are some big website like a news website where I'm sure 100% the AMP is a lot better than, you know, a mobile friendly website in that instance. But in general, the answer is no, it's not important for SEO as far as I'm concerned. Savan, is it recommended that if I have 5, right, I've answered that one. Hey Craig, this is Wayne talking about LinkedIn. What would you do to optimize and build traffic to a LinkedIn personal site or LinkedIn page? So, Wayne, I used a tool called Linked Helper, which allowed me to automate adding people, liking people, endorsing people, and all of that kind of thing. all people within my niche. So the settings that you set on Linked Helper are all going to be going after people that are relevant to your niche. Now, as long as you get those settings right, that can, build traffic and stuff like that. Now, of course, you have to initially set out your LinkedIn profile, set out the kind of everything that it asks you to do. You can look at my LinkedIn profile. I've filled it out as much as I possibly can until it told me I couldn't write any more words. Put all your experiences, all your stuff on there, showcase as much of your ability as you can in the profile, and then use Linked Helper. Also use manual stuff. You can go in there and reach out to people and all that stuff. But what really works well is the traffic that comes to your LinkedIn profile. So if you look at someone, they automatically look back. So you go onto LinkedIn and you see such and such has looked at your website. You end up looking at their website, seeing what they do. You might reach out and say, hey, why were you looking at my website or my LinkedIn? And that might start a conversation. Now, you can automate a whole bunch of that stuff through linkedhelper.com. Now, that can be from adding connections to removing connections. You can send people that you've recently added first message, a very generic message, which may stimulate conversation and all of that stuff. So that's how I would start off with LinkedIn. But then over and above that, you've got to add the human element. You've also you can potentially run ads to your profile and stuff like that as well. So whole bunch of stuff there, Wayne. Hopefully that helps. Javid Hakimi, where do you get your virtual assistants from? All over the world, to be honest. It really depends on what I'm looking for. So, again, I don't want to categorize countries, but I've always found that Filipinos, for example, are very good at following a set process, spreadsheet work and all that type of stuff. Indians are very good at software, automation, that type of thing. Eastern Europeans are very good at development and certain countries out there, for example, South Africa, and quite a lot of European countries as well are really good for content writers. I've had some luck there. Obviously, you wouldn't send a content writer to India or the Philippines. It's not their native language, and you then have problems. So I think you have to use a bit of a common sense approach, but there's good people everywhere in the world. It's just digging them out. So it really depends on what the VA is going to be doing for you. GM1872. I was going to go .co.uk and .ie. However, both sites will need to be content heavy and would prefer to write all of this content only once. I'm going to portray a brand. So yeah, you're probably in that instance, then you're probably better going for the .com. If that's the situation you find yourself in. Yeah. Do it that way. You don't want to be doing all of that twice, especially if it's content heavy, because there's nothing worse than content. Raj, hey Craig, I was wondering how to save log file report from cPanel. So you download it and then you can import it into a tool like SEMrush. But yeah, you just download it. That's it in your cPanel. Simple as that. Oh, right. My hosting provider doesn't give the option to download that. So you'd have to speak to your hosting company. I'm not sure why they would not give you that. Sometimes they may just want you to ask for it. So send them a support ticket. But most of these will allow you to download that data. Popcorn Rider, cheers for the advice for everyone. Where is it possible to get some click manipulation? So, Popcorn Rider, I've got a couple of my own tools, but a lot of the tools that are off the shelf don't work that well. So what I do for click-through rate manipulation is use some micro workers. So that's microworkers.com to get some real people onto the website. You can use paid Facebook ads and target the Indian or Pakistani audience. You get them for like a penny a click. It's just loads of clicks, and you can manipulate some click-through from that. People like Holly Starks simply just have 100 phones and start doing it all themselves. And there's a whole bunch of different ways, but probably trying to get a bot made yourself from some developer is probably your best bet, unless you want to buy some packages. But getting cheap paid traffic to do that for you is the best way. I'm also using a mailing list. I'm also signing up people onto push notifications, and hopefully that also drives the clicks for my stuff as well. That's the way I'm doing it, trying to use a mixture of paid and trying to build up an audience on YouTube, LinkedIn, social media, organically, and all of that stuff to just make sure that everything I launch just does get a lot of clicks and a lot of traffic and a lot of watch time and whatever else. So that's how I'm doing it, Popcorn Rider, along with some automated bots as well. Guys, if you are enjoying the video, please do give me a like, comment, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. We've still got 25 minutes. So after Puneet, I'm going to jump back over to LinkedIn and give some more answers there. What is scope of affiliate marketing? How much traffic you need in a website for affiliate program approval? This really depends on the affiliate program you're on. If you're going to do gambling affiliates, they want to see a website with 100,000 hits on it before they approve you for a program. Just the way it is, where Amazon will approve you and you've got to get, I think it's 3 sales in the first 2 or 3 months, and they'll approve you. So it really comes down to the different platforms. You would need to do that yourself. And I'm going to answer one last one on here. GM 1872, fresh domain name, GMB listing, citations, social profiles, blast, then start buying up related expireds, 301 or PBNs. I mainly build out PBNs. 301s are not as effective as populating a PBN and building the power of that on a PBN, because then you can do some automated blasts to the PBN, which in turn power your website up. So I mainly do PBNs. Just the odd 301 redirect is the way that I do it. But I am going to jump over to LinkedIn again and get your questions on there. So sorry, guys, I'll just flick between the two and give it a short burst. Citations. So Vicky Bailey, what's your go-to outreach method for gaining backlinks, and what's my thoughts on paid backlinks? So in terms of outreach, I've got people in the office who do outreach. We use Pitchbox, or you can use Mailshake. It's entirely up to yourself, and you can reach out to people. Now, you've got to weigh up that cost, Vicky, with the cost of paid backlinks. Now, paid backlinks isn't a bad thing. You're basically just paying for someone who's already done all that outreach, and that has a list that can place you in websites a hell of a lot quicker. So that is the, where I see that potentially, rather than paying the costs for the tools yourself, you're better paying someone who does that for you. It really comes down to your budget and how you want to work, because you may absolutely hate doing link building, and you're better just passing it off to someone who knows what they're doing, who knows, the kind of messages to send to people. They know how to negotiate, and they're able to get a better price for you. So in terms of paid backlinks, it's not necessarily a bad thing. If there's paid backlinks and there's paid backlinks. Buying a guest post from someone, I don't see there being any problem with. Other kind of paid crappy links, from Fiverr gigs and whatnot, you have to be careful of. What you're wanting to do is to take advantage of someone else doing some outreach or using their contacts or whatever they choose to do, and take advantage of that, rather than doing it yourself. Because I think Pitchbox costs you, Mailshake costs you, then you've got the time of reaching out, and are you reaching out to the right people, the right websites and everything else? You can waste so much time and money on all of that rather than just simply paying for them. So that's my opinion on that. Isaac Haruni, does social change Facebook, Instagram, then redirecting to domain name helps improve ranking? I wouldn't imagine so, because they are no follow. Not something I've tried though, but be curious if you do. Shoot me up and let me know if you do see any benefits from that. JG Brammer, good to see you, brother. Any thoughts about GIF SEO? Not something I've really tried too much of, JG. I'm sure there's nothing at all wrong with it. GIFs are popular, and if you can get them ranking, I'm sure it will drive traffic. I don't really see there being any too many problems. And BB Raven, BB the link builder, ha 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 ha. She will be referring to, she does outreach. She is a snowflake, very white hat, and does outreach for clients. So that's probably why she's laughing at me talking about paid guest posts. But yeah, BB does it the white hat way, and everyone's got their own way. As long as it works, it works. And you know, BB uses Pitchbox and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a you know that most people are using the same method in terms of outreach to answer those outreach questions. Going back to StreamYard again, Glock, Craig, can you recommend an online business for a beginner? Very generic question. You've got so many options out there in terms of an online business, whether it's e-com, selling anything else, you know, adult toys, it could be plants, it really doesn't matter. In terms of online business, if you're good at SEO, you can pretty much make any business you like online. It really comes down to what you enjoy and something, you know, I would always encourage someone to sell something that they enjoy. So, for example, I really love football. It's a big passion of mine. And if I was going to do an e-commerce store or something like that, it would probably be based around football or football tops or something relating to football. I see no reason why you have to get yourself involved in something that you don't like. So, yeah, I think do what you like, do what you enjoy, find a niche, and check out the competition. And if it's doable, then go for it. Glock, any tips for growing an Instagram theme page? Instagram is really hard in terms of any kind of manipulation stuff that you can do. Obviously, they close everything down, all the bots, all the tools. Instagram are always the first to fuck that up for everyone. So I don't really have any tips as such other than just keep trying hard, use paid, just keep promoting yourself, offer good content. Instagram's so hard. It's probably one of my weakest social media platforms. It's hard to gamify, so to speak, and you've just got to graft hard on there. And that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but it's true. It's just the automation and stuff just gets shut down very quickly on there. Facebook user, I want to create APK website and domain name APK, word good or not, any side effects. If you can include the word in your domain name, I'm sure it'll give you some kind of benefit. I wouldn't go out, I wouldn't make sure that the word was in there because I don't think the benefit is worth obsessing over. So I think you can call your domain name whatever the hell you like, .com, and rank for the search terms that are relevant to APK. But if you can include it, I think it will give you a little bit of help, and it could maybe improve click-through rate and stuff like that because it says it on the domain name. But other than that, it probably does give it a little bit of weight, but not a huge amount, not like it certainly used to back in the day. Mark Sutherland, hi Craig, any good tips on boosting GMBs? Just citations is the main thing I can advise, Mark. Get good quality citations. Do a bit of click-through rate manipulation. If you watch the video with Holly Starks that I've done, which is on YouTube, she talks about how she also goes further than that and deeper than that, and actually sits with 100 mobile phones. Now, I'm not suggesting you sit with 100 mobile phones, but whether you've got 2, 3, 5, 10, or tell your friends to do it or whatever. But what she does is drive. So she'll get your GMB, she'll click get directions, and she'll drive to the GMB. And she has done a lot of testing and seems to believe that helps your GMB. So little things like that in terms of click-through rate manipulation, making your GMB seem more popular than your competition. So if 10 people drive to your location, and only one guy really does it to position 2, then you're going to dominate the GMB for that. But also click-through rate manipulation, whether you mimic that through a bot or whatever, and click on the if you're in position 2 or B, click on the top guy, leave it very quickly, go on to yours, hang about, click, save to favorites and all that kind of stuff. Is stuff that I would be doing. So you can do a lot of click-through rate manipulation, but generally citations and stuff are what's going to get you up into the top end anyway. And then it all comes down to engagement and click-through rate. Thank you, Popcorn Rider. Guys, there is 15 minutes left to go, so keep your questions coming. I will go through them as quickly as I can. So there's a guy on YouTube, Hussein Asim, tips to grow your website, just keeps repeating himself. What I would say to anyone out there is when you ever do get your own YouTube channel, make sure that you get guys out there who just constantly troll and do shit and spam stuff. You can actually ban them. It's just a pain in the backside when someone just hammers your feed like that. And yeah, tosser. Deleted. So sorry, I had to delete him there. You always just get guys who are bombarding it, and it just means that it's harder for me to see your questions. But Puneet, firstly, I really appreciate the way you're giving your time from your busy schedule. Can you let us know the dates or times when you come online for Q&A? Puneet, sadly, I don't have a dedicated schedule for this. I do know that at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, every Wednesday for the foreseeable future, I will be doing a joint Q&A with Chris Palmer. That's been going on for a few weeks. That is the only one that I have 100% got a schedule for. And anything else in terms of question and answers, I try and do at least once a week. But I try and give people a few hours notice on my social media channels. I put it across all my social media, Facebook group and everything else, because it's just more of a as and when I can do it. Because I'm working from home, I've got a small kid, so I can't really stick to a specific time. And sometimes I get bored and I do more than one a week. And I try and get guests on as well, and it all comes down to their schedule. So I can't really, do that consistently in terms of a specific time, because guests are in different time zones and a whole bunch of other stuff. But do keep tuned into the social media and you'll find out when they're on. Facebook user, would you say it's worth the time to build a PBN just using Blogger or Blogspot? Parasite stuff that, it's worth doing it. But you're going to build a PBN on an expired domain name as well. Initially, you can build stuff on parasites like Blogger, Wix, and everything else to generate some power, but everyone else is doing that, so you're then going to have to then go and build real PBNs. Facebook user, some niches will be hard to find super relevant paid backlinks. You may have to do your own outreach, but generally I save money buying them. Good answer. Cheers, Mark Sutherland. Brian Ebisine, hopefully I've said that. Love your videos. How do you use Facebook ads to manipulate CTR on GMBs? So you can send a Facebook ad that drops you. I mean, it's hard to use Facebook ads to fully manipulate CTR and GMBs. I think you would need to get a bot. What I do for GMB manipulation, because I don't just use CTR manipulation on GMBs, I use it for YouTube and whatever, and that's mainly where I'll drive people cheap Facebook ads onto the YouTube to get that engagement. But GMBs, I would tend to use a custom bot or do what Holly Starks does and have a whole bunch of phones and you're able to do it yourself. You can also use micro workers to tell people what to do, whether that's click on this, do that. You can give them a full process to follow, and that will probably help you better with your GMBs, because you really need that element of control to be able to do that with your GMBs. So that's probably better suited to that. Roshan Sero, thanks for the info, no problem. Abin Sheikh, hello. How can you increase search visibility from Facebook? I think, again, search visibility in Facebook is all about the interaction, how, and everything else that's going on. I think the more popular and more engagement you get, that your visibility becomes higher. There is no other, obviously in your about me and all that kind of stuff, you can put in what you do and stuff like that, but I think it all comes down to a number of different things in Facebook, friends in common, and a whole calculation of smaller things, including engagement, that help you get that interaction or that visibility. But there is no real way to gamify that any further, in my opinion. Back to the LinkedIn folkies. But guys, if you're enjoying this, can you please like and subscribe to whatever platform you're on, or follow, or whatever it's going to be. Back to LinkedIn though, Amit Chowdhury. I got almost 50% drop in my education niche websites. How to recover from the last core update of Google. So obviously the last update's been done in the last week. It would look like it was a link update. I think I mentioned that before. What I would say to anyone is, let's see how things settle down before you start making wholesale changes. But Christoph Semper from Link Research Tools would think that the update's down to link velocity. I'm not sure how accurate that is, because I don't have the same level of data as Christoph Semper has. I don't see any reason why he would lie. I do believe it is link related though, and I do believe that you're going to have to just get better links if that's the case, and more quality, more power, more relevance, up your game in the link building side is what the general answer seems to be for the last update there. Sadia Begum, what advice would you give to a new graduate when there's not many roles in your city? So Sadia, what I've had in the past is I've had different graduates or people that have just passed, and trying to find an internship, even if it's for a month or two, go and work for free. Now, I'm not going to sit here and suggest that you should work for free. Everyone's entitled to be paid. However, it's when you get a new graduate, the smaller businesses, which make up 90% of businesses out there, need to see that you are worth giving a wage to. And the only way they can do that with a new graduate is get them in for a period and see if they're capable of showing the right attitude to then build and grow and be trained. Because training someone in digital marketing, can take a long time. And you've got to be given designated tasks, and to a company, they have to train you in their own processes and stuff like that. And in my opinion, I've had a couple of graduates come to me and say, Craig, can I come in and work for a month? It will only be for a day or two a week. I just really want to learn about your processes, what you do, and stuff like that. And that's massively helped them when they've then went for interviews, where they're able to hold a conversation about keyword research or content writing or title tags, and they then can go in and interview in the basics. But when you're a graduate, it's probably fair to say that some of the stuff you've been taught so far out of date that it's not going to come across well at an interview. So I think sometimes when you do take the onus upon yourself to maybe try and get that or work with someone, and it doesn't have to be someone in an office, you can do some work for them on a online basis. You can reach out to someone to kind of mentor you, or whatever you want to call it. Ask them, can they do some free work just to, if you can do some free work just to find out more about the processes, how they operate, what they do. Most guys will be receptive to that if their time allows that to happen. So that's what I would say for you, Sadia. Try and see if you can get someone to do that for you. Now, as I say, I know it seems really unfair. You went to do all your graduation and everything, but for me, There's just so many graduates out there, and so many, it's a risk for a small business as well. So I'm seeing it from the small business point of view, where who do I hire? Is it going to be that person? Because we're going to have to invest 6 months of time into training them to any kind of good standard. And, it's very hard at an interview level to establish whether you're the right candidate or not. Whereas maybe doing a week's worth of work or a month's worth of work gives the person interviewing you a hell of a much more opportunity to be able to advise you on what you're good at and what you're not. So that would just be my suggestion for that. Sadly, there is no other real trick. Mads Singers, I want to work for you for free, Mads. Mads is actually my VA, virtual assistant out in the Philippines. And I've got him looking after a whole bunch of content writers, and he does it for free. Nah, I'm only kidding. Mads is a guy who, one, constantly trolls me, but it's all in good nature. But he is a people management consultant and deals with a lot of outsourcing stuff out in the Philippines. And he regularly interviews people over in the Philippines. And I'm sure Mads would back me up in saying, someone that has some basic skills is going to interview a hell of a lot better than someone who just came out of a graduate and doesn't know the first thing about SEMrush or Ahrefs or any of the basic tools that you would need to know. And obviously when an interviewer interviews you on that and you don't know the first thing, then it's just not going to work that well in terms of an interview. Glock, any online business that requires less than £100 to start, I mean, buying a domain name and some hosting, Glock, is going to cost you that anyway. I think, if you're wanting to start a business with less than $100, you're probably not ready to go in to tackle anything that's that competitive. You would just need to look for something that's very niche specific. If there was a business that was easy to start for less than $100, I would start a new business every day of the week. It's just not that easy, I'm afraid. I wish it was, but sadly, not that I know of anyway. Facebook user, I've gotten good results from micro workers on YouTube. Holly has a good template on one of her videos for giving them directions. It may be a paid video, I don't remember. Having a good template and instructing those guys on micro workers exactly what you need done is the key part of the process. I think that's key for anything you do in digital marketing. Have a good process. And I'm sure if anyone else wants to see that, dig around. And I'm hopefully it's not on a paid video. It's hopefully out there for others to see. But yeah, have a look at Holly Starks for that kind of thing. She is an absolute beast at that type of thing. She does very, very well. Learn. You're right, Mads. That is all what it's about. Even now, for me, it's learn. Constantly networking, constantly going to events, constantly trying to pick up as much as I possibly can from all of the guys around about. So, no one knows everything. We're always learning. So there is nothing like continuing to do that. But sadly, guys, we are nearly out of time. It has been a pleasure to come on and answer all of those questions. And I will be back on a Wednesday with Chris Palmer. And I may be back before then, I may be back after then. I'm not 100% sure. But make sure that you do like and subscribe. And I will catch up with you guys soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.